didn't actually fulfill or end up fulfilling its mandate. What do you say to the criticisms of this latest commission?
Well, I think those criticisms actually ignore the fact that we did set up a commission we've had several commissions. Many of them have functioned perfectly well. I think there's some irritation about the fact that not the procedures of the last commission have not been publicized. I think one of the problems with what happened with the last commission is that we allowed what's called an international independent group of eminent persons, it's a wonderful title, to observe. And unfortunately, not the eminent persons themselves, but some of their assistants actually thought that this was a vehicle for them to object to the current Sri Lankan government. We had lots of problems because they countermanded the terms of the under which the IAGP had been brought in. And I'm sorry to say a couple of these guys were actually Australians, the assistants. And there were all sorts of problems because it was felt it was political. I mean, we had this very sad thing today where in Parliament, the Minister of External Affairs actually read out from the American State Department report on relations with Sri Lanka, which was quite a good report. It actually said that the leader of the opposition was encouraging the U.S. to put pressure on Sri Lanka. And, I think that's one of our sad things, that sometimes, not foreign governments, but young people allow themselves to succumb to political pressures within Sri Lanka. And I think these young Australians were very, very pally with the opposition at the time. And that really was a problem for the IAGP. But the Commission actually made its report, that's with the President, and action should be taken. I mean, my own view is that in a lot of cases, if Sri Lanka is guilty of something, it is just of being very, very slow. But I'm someone who wants things to happen very, very quickly. And compared with other countries, we're actually quite quick, as you know, when you look at things like Abu Ghraib or the Bloody Sunday inquiries. I think our record is quite quick. But for me, the sooner you do anything, the better. This particular commission...
Do you think? I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you think that there is a case to answer for a strong investigation into accusations that war crimes or crimes against humanity did take place in the latter period of the war? Do you think there is a case for this to be strongly investigated, or do you think that this is not a case?
Any case brought before you with evidence must be investigated. I, for instance, and you probably see, I don't read what I say, but the U.S. State Department produced a report last October in which it said we have come across the following allegations, and we very much welcome a response. And I have consistently said that was a very well put, statement, because they didn't go to presume guilt or innocence or anything. They simply suggested that we should be providing explanations to these. And I think very correctly the government said, we welcome any allegations that are not blind or generalized. For instance, we made a distinction between that and the Channel 4 allegation, which turns out to have been completely fraudulent. And one of the things we said about Channel 4, we said this to Philip Alston, another Australian, when he said, please investigate. We said, look, are you asking us to investigate a video, or are you asking us to investigate an incident? If it's an incident, tell us when it happened or where it happened, or at least give us some clue. And Philip Alston has consistently refused to answer these questions. And, we told him, if he didn't know, to check with Channel 4, whoever informed them. I think he actually failed to get an answer from Channel 4, because if you look at his last report, Channel 4 seems to have refused to even give him the original of the video. So I think we have a situation where people make general allegations, and we are not into looking into generalizations that do not give specifics. But we have consistently said, give us incidents, we will look into them.
And so you're saying that up to this point, there have been no accusations that have sufficient evidence or sufficient details for you to feel that there's a justification in launching an investigation?
I just told you that the American report actually contains details, and I think we should respond to them. In fact, the last time I was discussing this, I said, haven't we replied yet? And in fact, I was told that the report was eminently due. I had actually pointed out earlier that I had answers to about half those allegations because, one of the reasons why we get a bit irritated is that at head of the Peace Secretariat, I used to monitor TamilNet every day and get down any allegations that seemed to me to indicate inappropriate behavior. And I would get reports from the military at the time. And I have to tell you this, that I still remember this statistic. The Air Force is to come out with very precise statistics. For obvious reasons, any bombing raid was very carefully recorded. And for instance, in a certain period, there had been 458 raids. And even TamilNet only alleged civilian casualties in 29 of them. And of those 29 instances, 22 were instances in which one or two civilians were alleged to have died. Now, one or two civilians dying is one or two too many. But it is certainly, obviously, not a case of either deliberate targeting of civilians, obviously not, nor is it prima facie evidence of carelessness. I mean, you just compare that record with, I'm afraid you guys are in Afghanistan as well, what you people have been doing in Afghanistan. And the collateral damage is colossal compared to us. And I'm not talking now of government, I'm talking of what I used to look from TamilNet, and I used to monitor this. So I do think it's a bit high-handed of people to suggest that they're concerned about human rights, and we are not. We were, because these are our people.
Okay, Mr. Wijesinha, thanks very much for talking to us today.